and click your heels 3 times and say, I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Italy. I want to go to Italy. And here we are. You're on Ponte Vecchio right now. The old bridge in the middle of Florence used to be a place where butchers would throw their meat over the bridge into the water, and now it's called the Golden Bridge because all the shops are gold shops. So welcome to the Infinite Human in Florence. We're going to be here in Florence for the next month, and we're really excited to have you along with us. And I'd like you to, of course, I'm also doing my New Renaissance Florence Film School, and I'd like you to meet our student here. Donna. She's from Chicago, and she has a brilliant idea for a film. So, oh, there you are, Donna, yes. Just walking across the bridge.
Yes, hello. It is wonderful to be here.
Okay, yeah. What's your impression of this city?
Well, the first thing that strikes me about this city is the light, and I understand why art is so strong because the light is really magnificent and very, very and I think it casts an energy and draws people in.
Okay, and you've got some artwork going yourself here, don't you?
I'm in the process of birthing a new film on contemporary artists that are drawn to Florence from all over the world to create them.
And do you have a title for this?
My title is Openings, and I think that'll evolve from light openings of light, openings of let your spirit in, and openings to more.
Okay, and how did you come up with this idea?
It was an inspiration walking around Florence. I've been so inspired by the artwork here that's been here for so many years. It seems like beyond time, but maybe it is.
Now, you took the Infinite Human Workshop. Do you have any words about that?
Well, that workshop creates openings. It creates open energy. It opens up all of your energy centers for you to be able to be in that creative space without judgment and let the energy flow into that and life.
Great. All right, thank you. And you'll see more of her when we go to the Uffizi and we talk about the different Jungian archetypes that we also used in our workshop. So take a look around. These are all not only Italians, but people from all over the world who flock to Florence for all the different things, the light, the food, the people, the energy, the architecture, and it's a really beautiful city to be in. So we're going to show you a little bit of it. Hi! Here we are in Piazza Signoria, my favorite piazza. I just love this piazza. It's magical. And if you look behind me, there's the third David. Actually, it's the second David because we have 3 Davids here. The original is in l'Accademia di Belle Arti, and this is a copy. And then there's another one in Piazzale Michelangelo. And also this beautiful castle, the Palazzo. Behind me is Palazzo Vecchio, which is the original home of the Medici family. And then they built the offices, or the Uffizi, which is now the museum that you'll see us go into shortly. And they also extended a corridor called the Fisari Corridor that runs from this palace all the way across Ponte Vecchio, where we were before, over to the Palazzo Pitti. So it's a really fantastic place. And on the second floor is my really favorite museum. And we shot a film short called The Prince there about Lorenzo de' Medici and the Pazzi conspiracy there. And there's also something called the Madonna del UFO, which is a Madonna, painted back in 1500 with a UFO in the clear sky. So it's really very interesting. I invite you to come see it or check it out on our website because we have a really nice film of it. Or look it up on Google. Okay, hi, we're up in the Loggia della Signoria, which is really special because they usually don't let people up here. And I want to point out some of my favorite statues. Oh yeah, hello. Before we get kicked out. Come on. This is the rape of the Sabine women. And the story is, of course, you know the story of Helen of Troy. And when the Trojans left, they came to Rome and they they didn't have any women with them, they were all warriors, so they attacked the Sabines and took all their women. And then after a year or two, they had children with these men, and so their husbands before came to attack them, and the women ran out on the battlefield and said, please, please don't kill him. This is the father of my child. So, sister. And this, of course, is Perseus holding up the head of Medusa that could turn anything it looked at into stone. So that's a very interesting. He's standing over her body. I guess he just cut it off of her head. There's David in the distance with a pigeon on his head. Walk this way. Another exquisite over here statue of the rape of Sabine women. She's, poor things, being carried off by Victor. And this is a centaur being, well, doesn't look good for him. Alright.
Hi everyone, here I am from Florence and we're at the Uffizi Museum and we're doing an exercise in the Empathy workshop where we have to find the hero at the beginning of his journey, full of flaws and fears, trepidations, everything that's going to hopefully disappear by the end of the journey, especially his ego, or her ego. And then we're going to find the second part, which is the mentor, and that is the person who helps the hero, or in our case, it's our higher self or our soul self. And then the third one is to find our shadow self, which is the dark part of ourselves that we're afraid of, we run away from, that we don't want to face or overcome. And then the last part is after we have gone through our journey and overcome and faced that part of ourselves, we're the illuminated hero or the God-realized hero at the end of our journey, having learned all our lessons and broken down our ego. So come on and join us on our wonderful tour of the Uffizi, our unique tour. And been transmuted, and she's at her highest soul development. And the reason I chose this one is she has her world in her hand, and she's pointing up, and she's raising the vibration of the planet with her through her love and through her words. And that's it.
This particular statue of the two words are angels, I'm not sure which, but angels probably represent love, amore, and it's my shadow self. It's a reminder to me of how I never trusted intimacy, love, and freedom has always been such a strong word for me. Fear losing myself in God. And that's what I'm sharing. And it haunts us.
Good. that was the biggest pain, the loss of that. Okay, this is my shadow self, and actually it's been my shadow self for quite some time now because I love to sleep. I sleep a lot. I guess the fear is that I'm just going to, like Sleeping Beauty or something, I'm going to sleep my life away and I'm not going to get all the things that I feel free to accomplish in this lifetime. So that's
represents the mentor of my journey. There's nothing more pure than unconditional love with mother-child relationship. It's captured in this picture in terms of play and loving each other, the gentleness and softness of just being in that space of pure, and the wife, mother, gently guiding the children.
yeah, it looks very nurturing, and she's coaxing them along. I think it's actually the Banal and Jesus said that's John the Baptist.
I see them trusting each other. I see this trusting. She's teaching them. You can tell there's a caring between the children. I'm noticing the happiness between the two children.
Good. Yeah. You were just seeing a mentor that was loving you into wholeness,
Yes.
teaching you how to love yourself.
Yes, and nurturing you in others.
Yeah, and how to have that nurturing so you can share it with another person. Okay. Let's see that. Okay, onward.
Bust represents Venus, is Venus, and she represents the end of my journey, the transformation, being in just pure, unconditional love, living in the moment, living the essence of life. There's a gentleness. When I looked at this face, I didn't know it was Venus when I first came over to her. There was such a gentleness to the face within the stone. And I think that's what drew me into this. And then I realized it was Venus. And that really is the end of my journey, is really in that love, being able to be Venus.
What more could you want? I mean, that's the highest I think that you can reach.
And
I agree. I think reaching the essence of love is spiritual goal that everyone should strive for. Journey into wholeness, and you're very excited to have this moment to send this part of yourself off on its wonderful, magical journey into wholeness. So now I want you to inhale, and when you're ready, just slowly open your eyes and pick up whatever feels comfortable to you to draw this part of yourself, this hero at the beginning of the journey with all its flaws.
fired ceramic.
Wow. She's very talented. She does a lot of drawing. Sai che sanno this stuff is kind of tales or something. You use all your creativity, talents, and dreams to embrace them. Embrace them. Oops.
That's represented here. It's definitely other. There's a realm of forest, being aware of that reality, but also simultaneously being aware that there's so much else going on in the universe. That's what I see. I wasn't the gold and the textures going to be wonderful. Everything turning into this energy.
Can you hold it up so so I can keep seeing this frustrates. It's like once we get here. This is what I do. Turn to me. Not to me. This is natural. You have to be honest, and orange, of course, is again that creative chakra. So it's like you're opening that up, you know. So okay, and then mine is this, and this is. So I see the drawing. Thank you.
The blue definitely gives it just this really peaceful, flowing water body. It's almost like there's water moving behind it. There's a flow to that. And the hearts in the four spots remind me of a compass. Direction in all directions your heart takes you and guides you, leads you.
Okay, oops, it's dripping now. My crystal ball's dripping. Okay.
And Dante is considered the father of modern literature, and he took the romantic poems of the Arabic culture and intertwined them with his divine comedy. And it was about a love affair between him and Beatrice, and his journey through hell, limbo, and to paradise. So I always bring my students here and I have them look into Dante's eyes, and behind him he's carrying his thick divine comedy, and I give them the Dante challenge, and I ask them if they think they can create a work of art that will last 800 years. So that's my question to you. Do you think you can write something or create something that will endure the test of time?
Children's books. So, Rosanna, can you tell us the names of your children's books that you wrote?
Yeah. Questi sono i titoli delle mie fiabe: La storia d'amore tra la terra e il mare,
The Love of Earth, the Earth and the Sea,
La serpe dalle labbra rosa,
The Pink-Lipped Snake,
La nuvola di panna montata,
The Cloud of Whipped Cream,
La terra dei sette colori, cioè l'Italia.
The Land of Seven Colors, that's here in Italy.
E c'era una volta Leoncavallo Ruggero, un bambino che volava sulle note per l'armonia.
Where's the name in English? Dove c'è il nome in inglese?
What happened?
Oh, once upon a time, there was Leoncavallo
Ruggero.
Oh, a child who, I don't have my glasses on, sorry, who
Use it
used
to fly
to fly, yes, what?
on the notes of harmony.
On
Notes,
the north,
notes
north,
harmony. Ok, questa è la biografia del compositore Ruggero Leoncavallo e l'opera Pagliacci.
Okay.
Okay.
Both of these books are in English and in Italian, all right? So, okay, so, and how many are there? Quanti sono?
Allora, questi sono 5, ma io ne ho scritte tantissime di fiabe, perché sono anni e anni che scrivo, ma mi sono autoprodotta questi 5 racconti in doppia lingua, e perché il mio obiettivo è arrivare in the world, quindi l'inglese è fondamentale, insomma.
So she's written many of these fairy tales, and she's been writing them forever. And she wrote them both in English and Italian, so they're a wonderful present for children that want to become bilingual because they're written in both languages. And she wants to make them very international. So, what made you start writing them? Perché hai cominciato a fare questo?
Allora, io vivo a Firenze da 20 anni, ma le mie origini sono del sud Italia e avevo dentro me il desiderio della natura, tanta natura, perché appunto in Calabria ci sono tanti elementi e qui forse mi mancavano un po', per cui è venuto così, il mio sé superiore mi ha dettato queste fiabe.
Okay, so she lives in Florence for 20 years, but she's originally from Calabria, giusto?
Sì.
From the south of Italy, Calabria. And she missed nature a lot because there's not as much nature here. And she's inspired by nature, and also her higher self just told her to start writing these. So. E che cos'era ispirazione per ognuno?
Allora, a me ispira qualsiasi cosa, soprattutto gli elementi della natura, tipo le gocce di pioggia, gli alberi, i colori, cioè gli elementi delle mie fiabe sono gli elementi della natura, i colori, i sentimenti umani e i suoni, perché il suono è l'elemento primario di ogni essere umano.
Okay, her inspiration for this comes from nature, from a raindrop, or from a forest, or a leaf of a tree, and she also gets her inspiration from sounds, because sounds are the fundamental vibration of the universe.
Yeah.
And so do you want to show us some of your sounds now?
Mm-hmm.
Vuoi fare vedere qualche suonore adesso?
Ah, certo!
Okay, she does a very amazing thing. She uses her sounds, and you'll see in some clips now, in conjunction with her telling of the fairy tale, and it really works amazingly to children and to adults. When I heard it, I was like in a trance, and it relaxed me so much. So,
Ok.
Grazie Rosanna.
Prego.
Che bello, mi sento tutto rilassato.
Io mi diverto, faccio divertire anche gli altri, farmi stare bene.
It's funny because when I started listening to ASMR, and they're called triggers, and I listen to them now all the time because they relax me, but she had invented this on her own, and I remember the first time I watched her do that, I was just, so relaxed and in a trance, it was just felt so good, and the children love it, so anyway.
Anche gli adulti.
Yeah, and also the adults. Well, I'm an adult,
Yeah.
a big kid. Yeah, the big kids.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and you've made, we're going to show something, but you've made a lot of videos of this, right?
Sì, ho fatto video e sto preparando nuovi video per tutti i miei racconti perché il mio obiettivo è fare conoscere i miei racconti, il mio lavoro ovunque. E Elisabeth mi sta dando questa opportunità perché mi ha visto dal vivo, quindi è rimasta colpita, incantata, come le fate che incantano. Io sono una fata in realtà.
Let's see your wings.
Oh, yeah.
She's a fairy.
Yeah.
She's a fairy. So these are her books, and you can contact her on Facebook under Rosanna Reda. Okay, that's her name. Look under Rosanna Reda, and you can see all about her upcoming events and the books she's coming out with, and her new CD, and all the pictures of her performances throughout Italy and Canada. So,
Yeah, sì. In ottobre sì, sono stata in Canada, a Toronto, e ho riscosso moltissimo successo e ritornerò presto anche lì, ma il mio obiettivo è arrivare in tutte le città anche degli Stati Uniti, quindi chiunque sia interessato mi può contattare tramite Facebook.
okay. So, yes, she was in Canada last October, and she's going back. And her objective is to visit all the cities in the United States and bring her fables there and her performance, which is really very beautiful. It's a must to see. So please contact Rosanna on Rosanna Reda on Facebook. All right? Okay. Bye for now from Florence.
Bye bye!
And today I'm going to read you a fairy tale. And this fairy tale is for boys and girls of all ages. It's even for those that are young at heart. And it's a very special fairy tale because it will fan the creative sparkle inside of you. And this is the fairy tale, The Magical Mist. And it's written by me, Elizabeth Monroy. And it's illustrated by Barbara Kate. And there's me a while ago. And there's Barbara Kate, the illustrator. And she did some beautiful pictures. So let us begin. But first, I need to put on my magic storytelling cap. And my magic storytelling wand. And we're ready to begin. Once upon a time, not so very long ago, there lived a little girl who had blonde curls in her hair, green sparkles in her eyes, and red freckles on her nose. Her name was Lauren, and Lauren's dearest and most loyal friend was Mirabelle, a stuffed rag doll. She had long yellow yarn braids and wore a pretty pink tutu with matching ballerina slippers. Lauren and Mirabelle did everything together. Today they were having a tea party under the shade of the great weeping willow tree. Lauren was just about to pour another cup of tea
when she heard her mother call, "Hurry, Lauren, everyone's waiting for you to leave for the circus." Lauren became so nervous she did something she'd never done before. She ran off, forgetting poor Mirabelle at the tea table. And there we have Lauren with her curly hair, and Mirabelle with her pink tutu and ballerina slippers, and the tea party that they're having. And oh, that's Zeke, the St. Bernard. When Lauren reached her home at the top of the hill, she found her family anxiously awaiting. Everyone jumped into the car and drove off to see the circus. Everyone, that is, except Zeke, the St. Bernard. He had to stay behind. There's Zeke, he's staying behind. And there's Lauren's family driving off to the circus. There were so many interesting things to see at the circus. Roaring lions and dancing ballerinas on trained zebras. There was even a man who ate fire. But what interested Lauren most was the magic show. Everyone crowded into the big top, awaiting the appearance of the great Cicero. And there is Lauren going into the big top. And there's all the zebras and the man eating fire and the crowded big top. A puff of smoke appeared in the center of the stage, and out from the black billows walked the wizard. He had a pointy nose and a long gray beard. "Greetings, I am the great Cicero, and wise wizard and magician. You will witness here tonight feats that will outreach the farthest stretches of your imagination. Now let us begin." A small boy was chosen from the audience, and a sheet was placed over him. With one wave of Cicero's magic wand, the boy vanished. With the second wave of the magic wand, the boy miraculously reappeared. Magic trick after magic trick, Cicero marveled his audience. There's the great Cicero marveling his audience. The time had come at last for the most spectacular feat of all. Lauren was chosen as the next volunteer, and the great Cicero held up a very old and tarnished bottle. "Inside this bottle are rainbows, moonbeams, mixed with a touch of stardust," he said, gloating over his possession. "And here is the very fabric from which all dreams are woven. Just one drop of my magical mist, and anything is possible." He chuckled as he slowly unscrewed the cork. The people in the crowd held their breaths. Suddenly, a post from the big top gave way and came crashing down. Cicero dropped the magic bottle, and the strange mist oozed out. There's Cicero, and there's the bottle that dropped, and the mist is oozing out all around Lauren. The magical mist hung mysteriously over the heads in the crowd. Then it began to glow and change colors. The strange mist rose higher and higher until it disappeared right out of the hole in the center of the big top. "My mist, my magical mist," the great Cicero moaned. "I'm finished without it," he cried as he ran hopelessly after it. And there he is running after it. And Lauren's watching. That night, a small cloud hung outside Lauren's window. But this was no ordinary cloud. It was a cloud of magical mist.
Bigger rainstorm clouds were forming, and soon the little magic cloud was sucked up into the big gray clouds. There's the magical mist cloud, and there's Lauren sleeping, and there's the raindrops of magical mist coming down. The wind blew fiercely, and lightning flashed in the sky. The magical mist mixed with the raindrops, and a few of those magical raindrops found their way onto poor Mirabelle, who by this time had fallen from her chair and lay on the wet, muddy ground. And at that moment, a wonderful thing occurred. Can you guess what happened? Yes! Mirabelle became magically alive. There she is laying down, soaking up all the magical drops. The next day was bright and sunny. Lauren awoke from her dreams and looked around her room for Mirabelle, but she was nowhere to be found. She frantically looked about her house, but still no Mirabelle. She quickly dressed and ran out of the house with her mother calling after her. When she reached the weeping willow tree, she heard someone singing. She peered around the great trunk, and there to her amazement was Mirabelle singing and dancing with Zeke. Lauren's mouth hung open, and her eyes nearly popped right out of their sockets. Mirabelle, you're alive, Lauren shouted as she picked up Mirabelle, hugging and kissing her. Mirabelle and Lauren played together the whole day. They climbed trees, told stories, picked flowers, and had a real tea party. This time Mirabelle poured the tea. They were having so much fun they didn't realize how late it had become. And there they are, singing and dancing with Zeke. Lauren burst into the house, excited to surprise her family with the good news. But when Mirabelle looked into the stern, disbelieving eyes of Mrs. Allen, a strange thing happened. Her arms and legs became limp, and her mouth froze into a painted grin. "Where have you been all day, Lauren?" her mother glared down at her. "Playing with Mirabelle. Look, Mother, she's alive." Lauren held up the limp body of Mirabelle, which was only dangled from her hand. "I don't have time for your silly games. Upstairs, young lady, and don't come down until dinner." And there's Mirabelle hanging limp with her frozen grin, and her mother with her disbelieving eyes. Lauren realized that no one else could see the truth about Mirabelle because everyone else had lost their imagination. Everyone, that is, except Zeke. But Lauren still believed in Mirabelle, even if no one else did. When Lauren started school, Mirabelle waited patiently for her on the shelf and helped Lauren with her schoolwork because the magical mist had made Mirabelle a very wise doll. There's Mirabelle crying. Lauren crying with Mirabelle, but they decided that nobody else is bothering them. Okay. At night, Mirabelle and Lauren would fly up, up, up into the starry sky and turn somersaults beside the shimmering stars. One night, Mirabelle set their course for the brightest star of all. It was so bright they had to shade their eyes with their hands as they entered that planet's atmosphere. There they are, spinning somersaults, and there's the planet that they're coming to, of the world of imagination. A cheery court jester greeted them, then tooted his horn, and a magnificent king and queen appeared. "I am King Infinite, and this is my queen Fantasia. We have been waiting for you." This is Queen Fantasia. "You are our only hope, my child," the queen sighed. A cloud of disbelief has cast its shadow on your world. It grows thicker and thicker every day. If something is not done, all imagination will be lost from the world forever. But what can I do? Lauren asked. I may have a plan, but first let's celebrate. It isn't every day a child finds their way to our planet. Laura and Mirabel were crowned princesses. And every child is a prince and princess, so you should be crowned a princess or prince too. There you go. How does that feel? Good. And escorted into a magnificent banquet in the most splendid of palaces. The ceilings stretched into the stars, and the walls were made of crystal that changed colors when you touched them. Mirabel thought of blue, and the wall became a pale blue. Lauren thought of pink, and the crystals changed into an icy pink. In the center of the great hall was a table filled with strange food: blue grapes, orange bananas, and green mashed potatoes. A roly-poly man with a green face and blue hair held up a jar of jelly. "Try some of my jolly jelly," he laughed. "It makes everything you spread it on funny." No, have a bite of my light and airy purple pudding," pleaded a checkerboard knight. Lauren and Mirabel took a spoonful of each and began giggling. Then they floated right out of their seats. There's Queen Fantasia and King Infinite, and there's Lauren and Mirabel being crowned princesses, and there's the wonderfully mad world of imagination. And here is Lauren touching the crystal wall. It becomes pink. And here's Mirabel touching the other wall, becomes blue. And there's the checkerboard knight with the purple pudding that makes you float. And there's the Jolly Jelly Man who has Jolly Jelly that makes you giggle. "Music!" cried the queen, and a band of crickets appeared, followed by a symphony of hummingbirds and an orchestra of violins. "How do we get down?" Lauren giggled. "Just think yourself down," roared the king. "That's how everything works here. You think, and it happens." Boom! Lauren and Mirabel landed in their seats with a thud. When a polka-dotted princess offered Lauren a piece of hiccup cake, she politely declined. "What a shame if all this was lost from Earth forever," Lauren thought to herself. The queen clapped her hands, and a jester appeared with a beautiful golden key. "The key to the world of imagination," the queen announced. Then she bent down and whispered gently into Lauren's ear. If used at the proper moment with the correct intent, this key could release your world from the chains of disbelief forever. Stay true to yourself, my dear. There will be those who will try and stop you, but you must stay out from under the cloud of disbelief. Your entire world depends upon it. She kissed Lauren on the cheek, and Lauren placed the key around Mirabel's neck for safekeeping, and they flew home. And here, if you didn't see, are the violins and the hummingbirds and the crickets are somewhere around there. And those are very special sounds. You can hear those sounds if you listen very carefully and get very quiet. And there's the queen saying goodbye and placing the key of the world of imagination around Mirabel's neck. And they fly home. The next day, Mrs. Grundy, Lauren's school teacher, met with Lauren's parents, Mr. and Mrs. Allen. Mrs. Grundy snorted as she peered over her horn-rimmed glasses. Your daughter is a very bright little girl. However, she is a disruption to the discipline and order of my classroom. She finishes her assignments early and insists on distracting the other students with ridiculous stories about talking rag dolls, magic keys, and worlds of imagination. Such impracticalities simply won't be tolerated. Now, I am a patient woman, but I'm afraid if we don't do something about her behavior soon, others won't be so understanding. I don't know what to do with her, Mrs. Grundy. Mrs. Allen sighed. Leave it to me, Mrs. Allen. I'll see to it that she doesn't have time for such frivolous activities. And Mrs. Grundy smiled a sour smile. And there's Mrs. Grundy and Mr. and Mrs. Allen. And you notice that they wrote on the board, I will not have fun, I will not have fun, I will not have fun. Because Mrs. Grundy thinks learning shouldn't be fun. She has a little worm in her apple, and her flowers have fallen. That afternoon, Mirabelle waited patiently for Lauren to come home. She waited and waited. Finally, as the moon rose in the autumn sky, Lauren rushed into the room, set down a large stack of books, and rushed out again. Mirabelle called to her from the shelf, but the door had already slammed shut. Late that night, a very tired Lauren crawled into bed. Let's go on a magical adventure, Mirabelle shouted as she jumped onto Lauren's pillow. But Lauren only rolled over in her sleep, crushing poor Mirabelle, who lay there all night, scarcely able to breathe. And there's Mirabelle waiting on the shelf for Lauren to come home. The next morning, Lauren was in such a hurry to get to school, she didn't even notice Mirabelle tangled in the bedsheets. Lauren became much too busy to think about Mirabelle or the world of imagination. Despite Mirabelle's efforts, the cloud of disbelief was swallowing Lauren up. Without Lauren to love her or believe in her, Mirabelle grew weaker and weaker until she could not move at all. One day, while Mrs. Allen was tidying up Lauren's room, she came across Mirabelle's lifeless body. I think Lauren has finally outgrown this dusty old thing. And she pitched poor Mirabelle right into the garbage can. There's Mirabelle, all tangled up in the bed sheets, and Lauren's in such a rush she doesn't even notice her anymore. She's too busy. Mirabelle lay helplessly on top of the garbage heap with the golden key to the world of imagination dangling from her neck. How will Lauren save the world if she doesn't even have the magic key? Mirabelle thought of a world with no imagination as she watched the evening stars come out. No more dreams or hopes, only despair. A tear trickled down her painted face. In the morning, the garbage man would come and take her away, and she would never see Lauren again. Just then, Mirabelle felt a cold nose brush against her. It was Zeke. He'd come to rescue her. Zeke gently pulled her from the garbage and carried her to the weeping willow tree, where he hid Mirabelle with his favorite bone. There she is on top of the garbage can, and there's Zeke to the rescue. While Mirabelle slumbered, Lauren grew, and she forgot all about Mirabelle and the world of imagination as the cloud of disbelief shadowed her more and more each day. As the cloud grew thicker and thicker around the Earth's atmosphere, more and more people became filled with despair. Imagination was almost lost from the world forever. But there was one little girl who had managed so far to escape the deadly cloud of disbelief. Her name was April, and she was Lauren's daughter. One day, while April and Lauren were visiting April's grandmother, April went outside to play with Zeke, who was very old by now. When they came to the weeping willow tree, Zeke started digging and uncovered Mirabelle. April was so excited to see such a beautiful rag doll, she hugged and kissed Mirabelle. April's love opened Mirabelle's sleepy eyes, and once again she could